What is going on, Chavrones? Carter here with Edge Mindset. We're taking a look at another Chaves knife, and I think you might find this interesting. I find this kind of stuff interesting, but just warning, spoiler alert, this is pretty nerdy, right? This is pretty specific into the knife world, into Chaves knives. Up on the top here, I've got my customized Chaves 228, and for those that don't know, Chaves 228 was the American-made, kind of what they used to call mid-tech stuff. I don't know if anybody uses that word anymore. I think everybody's confused with what a custom is, what a mid-tech is, what a production is. I mean, that's always been the case because it's like a ever-evolving term, but I think now it's really gotten muddy to the point where I don't think people use the term mid-tech anymore. But mid-tech used to mean a production knife maker that would outsource a good portion of the knife, whether that's through a complete third party or if it just simply means it's not hand done and it's more machine done. Typically, the custom maker would still have some sort of hand in the knife, whether it's grinding the blade, sharpening the blade, putting it together, tuning it up. But once again, that has kind of changed over the years to where for a while mid-tech simply meant full-on production but made in the US. I don't know. It gets confusing. I'm getting off topic here. But yeah, that was called a mid-tech Chaves 228. This was before the Ultramar series, which was the overseas Chinese-made version of these knives. These came out for a number of years in a few different versions. So here we have, and I featured this on this channel before, this is a version 2.5, I believe. Gets a little confusing with the versions. But version 2 version 2.5. So they did the V2 and then they did an update to the design, and that's what this is. Anyways, let's get into what this is. So got this in, bought this. It come in a now pack case, which is specifically made for Chaves knives, which is pretty cool. I don't know if this originally came in this. If anybody can give me that information on these now packs, because I know there's pouches and things like that, let me know. But in here, we have another Chaves 228 2.5. So the exact same knife. This one is just pristine from the factory. This is how it came out, and then this one has been modified. So it'd be kind of cool to compare these two. Now the 2.5, I believe the most notable features of it is the finish on the blade here, which I still can't completely figure out. Seems to be like a bead blast with maybe a really light stonewash, because it doesn't quite shimmer like just a plain bead blast, but it doesn't look like just stonewash either. So I think it's a bead blast with like a light stonewash on it. So it's cool. It's a little different than the other versions that they came out with. Like the V1 has a very dark type blade. The V3 has a more traditional shiny full stonewash. And this one has kind of this matte like bead blast type thing. You can see right there, Chaves American Made, C.A.M.K is what these went by. This one's long gone because it's been black oxide finish. Ooh, you can actually still see it. That is the first that I've realized. You can still see Chaves American Made right there. So it is laser etched in there, and all the work on here didn't get rid of that. It's got this really cool domed pivot. The V1s had a flat pivot. I think all the others had the domed. I actually really like the dome. The main thing here is you can see how it's been contoured around the edges. Oh, and it has this chamfer right there. I was wondering if this chamfer was at all in the original. It is not. You can see this just has a bevel all the way around. This one has a backspacer that's been put in with a rock pattern and then a skull crusher right on the end there. Whereas these actually came with standoffs, which I find interesting because it's a little weird to have three standoffs kind of clustered together like that. When I first opened this one, I thought that maybe somebody had put those in, because I figured that there's probably a pin that goes through here that kind of keeps everything together. And then you've got these screws that sandwich it and pull it tightly. And so I thought maybe somebody swapped out the backspacer for these, because traditionally Chaves would have, like the custom knives would have a backspacer there. But nope, that's not the case. This is how it came from the factory. If we take a look at the pocket clips here, this has a satin finish, which is how it came out of the box. And then it's got kind kind of a bead or sandblasted inside here. One of the other telltale characteristics of this version of the C.A.M.K 228 is the features are milled. The eye holes are milled in there. They are not all the way through. V1 and then later versions, it went all the way through, kind of like how normal Ultramar modern not C.A.M.Ks, normal Redencions from Riot would go all the way through, as well as the newer customs that he does goes all the way through. So kind of cool to get an example of this. Unmolested, pristine, in perfect condition. But it's kind of cool. I've thought about potentially wanting to get all the different versions. At least, like, I don't know about all the 0.5s, but it would be cool to get a V3 because that one's a little different. And of course, I want a V1. And then I've got the 2.5 here, all like and when I say that, I mean unmodified. So out of the factory, nothing done to it. I don't really care so much about condition as long as it's not completely crappy. Oh, the V1s too had the compound grind. I think that was the only one that had the compound. Everything else has this single grind on the blade right there. But pretty cool. Running on bearings, done really, really well. Everything is super smooth, nice and tight. You can see the lockup there, which is the exact same on this one. So both of these, I think both of these are basically unused. This one's just been modified. I was curious, which is dumb, but I was wondering if there's any weight difference, like with this, which doesn't actually even make sense. Because I was wondering, does this contouring remove like half an ounce or something? But I forgot this has a backspacer and skull crusher. So yeah, this is going to weigh more, I assume. 7.8, and this one's probably 7.4, 7.7. So 1 ounce difference between these two. But pretty cool. I really wish he would bring these back to the U.S. I think it could be successful. I think there's a market for it now, right? Because I know for a while there, the whole overseas production, it was just too good to be true. You got these knives with all these features, all these materials for next to nothing, and you just couldn't pass it up, and makers couldn't compete if they didn't jump into that, right? Like, it was just, you had to do it. It was just too good to be true. But things have kind of changed now. One, I think some of the excitement of like, oh, I can get a full titanium knife for $100, which literally was what it was like when these first started being, not these, but when knives first started being outsourced heavily in China, or at least mid to upper level style knives, right? I know people are like, knives have always been made in China. I know. I mean kind of the more custom-y, modern features, the cool stuff, the titanium, the bearings, the nicer steel, all that stuff. Used to be able to get it really, really cheap. Prices have gone up. It's not as amazing of a deal now as it used to be. And some of the fervor of just the excitement of what you could get for the money, I think, is somewhat died down. Obviously, there's always going to be a market for people that don't care where the knife is made. They just want the best knife they can get for the money. But for like knife collectors and enthusiasts, I think some of that is worn off. Prices have gone up. And I think a lot of people would be willing to pay the money. It would be quite a bit. They'd be willing to pay the money for more knives being made in the U.S. I mean, you can kind of see it with Oz Machine Company and the Rosie, and Les George is still doing pretty good. I'm just rattling off the top of my head here, but a lot of the USA-made knives, they're selling. They are. And honestly, they're only, like double what these were. I mean, I think these were like $500 when they came out, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, which was a decent amount of money. And so, it's probably be about double that, maybe a tad more, depending on the knife and the materials and all the stuff. I think people would be willing to pay for it. I know I would. I mean, that's basically what I paid for these, pre-owned, So, yeah. Anyways, I am going off topic. What do you guys think? Do you think the market, I'm not saying you specifically, I just mean, do you think the market could bear more knives being made like these were here in the States at a higher cost, but made in the States? I think so. And I don't want to keep going off topic. This was supposed to just be showing off this knife. I would like to discuss kind of the USA made knife thing because it's more nuanced and complex than just where it's made, what country, blah, blah, blah. There's more to it, and I would like to discuss that. Maybe I'll do that next. All right, guys, I'm out. Sorry for the ramble. This thing is all over the place. It's early. It's Saturday. I had 2 cups of coffee. I am raring to go. Appreciate all you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, leave comments, interact. It's fun. All right, guys. See you.